I'm going to take you to see the mosaics of the Archaeological Museum of Thessaloniki in northern Greece. The museum is right in the middle of the city and next door to the Byzantine Museum, so you can pack in lots of mosaics in one day. And I'm going to give you an insider's tip at the end of this video, which is worth sticking around for because you'd never find out about it unless I told you. You enter via this rather grand entrance full of statuary and sarcophagi and have to walk through a few rooms before you get to the mosaics. Needless to say, there are plenty of things along the way which will distract you, including this wonderfully mosaic-like inscription, which is an invitation to gladiator fights from the 3rd century. And these decorated pots have plenty of potential inspiration for mosaic designs. There are also things which even I can't claim have any connection to mosaics, like this beautiful funerary relief carving, which is 2,500 years old. Keep going and walk past a few more statues before you arrive at the first mosaic, which is this lovely little colourful fish panel, which was found in the reception room of a private house. There's so much to enjoy in this work, not least the exquisite ribbon border with graduating colours and those thick black shadows behind the fish which sort of push them forward. There's some beautiful colouring in the fish, and you can see how the colours have been blended to capture the variation in the fish's scales. This is a perfect panel to look at to admire the way the ancients used the rules or principles of mosaic, including the double borderline around the body of the fish. Next door to it is this other very fine panel which dates from the 3rd to the 4th centuries, and according to the museum caption might show the personification of the hours. I'm not entirely sure what this means, and I would have thought it is a depiction of the seasons. Even though we only have part of the panel, it seems to me that this head, wreathed in flowers, is a personification of spring, and the other, with fruit on her head, is a representation of autumn when the harvest is collected, or even summer perhaps. The wonderful thing about both of these panels is you can get really close to them and admire the detail of the workmanship. The shading around the face and the expression in the eyes is expertly done. The interesting thing about ancient mosaics, when you look at them really close up, is that they don't make sense visually. Look at that thick bottom lip on the face here. It looks ridiculous when you're right on top of it, but from a distance it works perfectly. There's a really nice guilloche border here too, and it's fun to notice how often the Roman rules are broken when you pay attention. There are quite a few nice keystones to get around the sharp corners, but there are also triangles stuffed in to make the curves. The same room has a large floor mosaic showing the arrival of the god Dionysos and his followers, and their discovery of the sleeping Ariadne. It's about 100 years older than the panels we've just been looking at, and suffers from the problem common to many mosaics if they are displayed on floors, namely that they are difficult, if not impossible, to see properly. The best museums, like the Bardo in Tunisia, have enough space to display even vast floor mosaics on the walls so that you can see the whole design as well as the details. However, with the wonders of technology, we can zoom in a bit more and appreciate such things as this billowing scarf. And if you look at the thigh of the figure on the right, you can see how the andamento, the flow of the tesserae on the thigh, flows at an angle horizontally, indicating the strength and tension of the stance. Here we have Ariadne sleeping on a leopard skin, as Dionysos arrives from the left. She was the Cretan princess who helped Theseus escape the Minotaur before he dumped her on the island of Naxos. I guess the story has a happy ending because Dionysos marries her. Don't you just love the fact that her leopard skin includes the paws and the tail? As part of the same mosaic, there's another mythological scene, this time of Zeus, the king of the gods, who's shown as an eagle, and he's come to take away Ganymede as his cupbearer because Ganymede is so gorgeous. The ancients were fond of depicting mythological scenes in their mosaics, and they turn up time and time again. It's worth stopping to look at the border, a wide repeat swastika pattern. The swastika symbolised lightning bolts in ancient mythology, so that would explain why it's been used here, given that Zeus was a weather god and used to hurl lightning bolts down from his home on Mount Olympus. Next, we have these two lovely mosaics, which are labelled as personifications of spring and winter, which makes sense, except that both of them have two lumps protruding from their backs, which look like wings, and I don't think I've seen personifications of the seasons with wings before. You can get close enough to them to see how the mosaics were made. The change in the size of the tesserae of the face under the eyes and down the nose, and of course the change in the direction of the andamento to indicate the muscles under the skin of the face and the torso. Winter here is all wrapped up in a cape with sprigs of olives in his or her hair, and again those strange wing-like protrusions on the back. The last one I want to show you in here is this mosaic commemorating a chariot race. It's only a fragment, but it's exquisitely made, so you can see the horses straining the bit and their wide-eyed energy held in by the reins. There's a fantastic border on here too, and those wreaths at the top with the names of the races indicate that this must have been quite a race to be worth memorialising in stone. Now let's go out of the museum, past the more statues and around the back. Turn right and right again as you go out, and this is where you'll find the bonus mosaic. It's totally unsignposted, and you would never know it's here unless someone told you, or if you happen to peer over the museum wall from the street side. Look at it, it's amazing. It's a huge floor mosaic. Okay, you can see it's badly damaged, but it has some wonderful features. Let me take you a little closer and look. Wow, just lovely, especially in the sunlight under the dappled shade of the trees. You can just revel in the patterns. As you can see, it's an elaborate swastika pattern, again formed by a double-stranded guilloche, which is basically like twisted braid. The best thing about it is that every panel is different, or almost every panel is different. There's nothing particularly sophisticated here, but it has a simple beauty that is just stunning. And if you still haven't had your fill of mosaics, then just nip across the road to the open area in front of the Hellexpo Centre, and you will find this very effective mid-century mosaic made of smalty. It represents the industrial city of Thessaloniki, its port and important buildings. And if you look at the mosaic from behind, you can see it is made in super thick cast panels which have been stacked together. Utterly different from the Roman mosaics we've been looking at, of course, but nevertheless very magnificent. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of the mosaics at the Archaeological Museum of Thessaloniki. If you liked this video and you would like to see more, then please subscribe below.